All right, today I thought we'd try something a little bit different. No, I'm just kidding. We're talking about gold again. All right, if you're hitting up YouTube to find out if gold is a good investment, well, this video is specifically for you. And if you're one of the people willing to type out a comment saying that gold isn't an investment at all, well, welcome back. I'm glad you're here too. The specific reason for this video, though, is to answer that question: does gold lose value? And the full answer is just complicated enough that if you bail out of this video before the end, it's pretty likely you'll come away with the opposite of what I think. So, be sure to stick with it. I'll make sure that it's not so long that you hate me by the end of it. Now, most of the channels here are focusing on what they're buying or where they see gold going, and it always seems to be up and to the right. So if you're looking for that kind of assurance, you're going to find it. Especially when you factor in confirmation bias, which basically means that it's really easy to find evidence that supports what you already want to believe. And if you have your own channel, you don't even need to go out looking for that reassurance. You can just cut out the confirmation bias middleman entirely and just tell yourself what you already want to believe. And I think that actually happens more than you'd think. People get into the topic, but then they dodge the actual question by explaining that gold isn't an investment, or they reframe the question entirely. I've done it at least twice. So, all that's fine and good, but the question of whether gold can lose value is fair. So I'll just answer it straight on. Yes, gold can lose value. Now, it doesn't have the potential to lose all of its value like certain other assets might, but let me show you a chart just to kind of explain what I'm talking about. Now, if you're familiar with what gold has been doing the last 2 years, you'll know that it's gone up pretty dramatically. The price of gold went up 18% last year. In 2020, it's up like 27%. So those are very big gains, and you almost have to go way back to 2008 or 9 to see something comparable. So had we bought in August of 2008, the spot price of gold would have been about $900. And if you look at this chart, you see 2 years later in August of 2010, it was about $1,200. So if you bought in 2008 and only held it for 2 years, you would have made $300. Now, if you waited 5 years for gold to cool off again and you bought in August of 2013, the spot price of gold would have been $1,300. Now, if you held it for that same 2 years and you sold it in August of 2015, the spot price of gold would have been $1,100 and you would have lost $200. Now, in addition to the base factor of that spot price going up or down, if you buy a single gold coin, you're paying premium for that coin. And if you turn around and sell it later that day, you won't get that back. It's a little like driving a car off the lot, so you'll have lost between 5 and 15% on that coin most likely, depending on what you buy. And if you pay even more premium than that, say on a collector coin, well, you're going to be even worse off, unless you're able to immediately flip that coin on the secondary market. But if you're new to gold or you're just asking that big question of whether it can lose its value, I'm going to assume that you aren't familiar enough with flipping collector coins. So let's take another look at that chart with premium in play. So what we're looking at now is a 2020 1-year chart. So if we bought in August of 2020, we would have been at about $19.50 spot price. And then you add $100 to that for premium, and we're looking at about $2,050. And at the time of recording, we're at $1,870 spot price. So we'd be down about $180 if we sold today. So like I mentioned at the beginning of this, if you bail on this video early, you might get the wrong impression. Because I know I'm pretty familiar with how premium works. I know that I'm giving up that $100. I also think that from where we're standing right now, we could very possibly see a correction over the next 15 months. A correction means a drop of more than 10%. But if you've been watching any of my videos, you know that not only do I have a fair amount of gold, I'm also buying gold. That buffalo right there, I think that cost me $2,000. So if I was going to sell it, it would take me a little while before the spot price would go up enough for me to make my money back. But I know that I'll never be upside down on these coins. And if you buy gold, as long as you don't finance it, you'll never be upside down on it either. I'm not trying to minimize the potential for loss in any way, but if you can maintain the discipline to not overbuy in the hopes that it will quickly appreciate, you can feel pretty secure having an asset that performs very well over long periods of time and doesn't get too crazy over short periods of time. Both of those charts I showed loss timeframes for represented about a 15% drop. The upside of gold, though, well, that's anyone's guess. I try to put the gold away for extended periods of time, knowing that I have it available in an emergency if I need it, knowing that I will never be upside down on it, and knowing that I'll never see its value fall to zero. So if you're nervous about buying gold, I'd really just say the thing to consider is, what would happen if you needed to convert it back into cash? If you needed it unexpectedly, could you afford to only get out 85% of what you paid for that gold? And if you can't, maybe you're going into gold a little too hot. Now, most likely you'll buy gold for the long term, you'll hold on to it, it'll appreciate, and 10 years from now it'll be worth a lot more than you ever paid for it, premium included. But if you're anxious about buying gold, you should consider the worst that could happen and make sure that you're okay with that possible outcome before diving in. And this same idea is actually a great philosophy for life in general. And if you have a little bit of time, I would highly recommend you look into Letters from a Stoic by Lucius Seneca. Now, it's going to seem like a weird tangent jumping to Roman philosophy, but the idea of visualizing the worst that could happen is really eye-opening on the way that we worry about things that will probably never come to pass. So, I'm going to leave you a link to the book, and I guarantee that if you give it some time, it will improve your entire outlook on daily stress. And that's why I always stick around to the end of these things, because that is where I put the bonus content that'll change your life. All right, not always, but you'll never know if you leave early. All right, thanks everyone. It's a huge help to the channel if you hit that like button, so keep that in mind and have a good day.